Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin. These two will debate real-life issues from a Catholic perspective every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern. Make the world Catholic again.
Welcome back, my friends. Isn't it just lovely to be here on a Monday morning, sipping a coffee, I don't know, maybe driving to work, heading to the gym, laying in bed, and whatever you guys are doing and listening to the sultry sounds of Matt and Kevin in the morning. We appreciate you being here. We really do. It's been nice to see the views growing a little bit. People starting to kind of tune in, maybe weekly, and not too sick of us yet. Matt and I just keep plugging along, man. We've been doing this for a long time now. It still blows me away how long we've been doing this.
2 years, Kev.
It's
2
amazing,
years
man.
and about a month and a half. Yes, sir.
Crazy. Love it. And I really enjoyed it. It's really one of my favorite shows that I do. Maybe my favorite because it's just it's kind of low stress. I like you, Matt. You're my bro.
Thank you.
No, it's fun. I really enjoy these, and I hope you guys do too. And I know as we've kind of said it in the last couple of weeks, like, yeah, we talked a lot of politics, and I know some people don't like that. It's just where we are right now, and kind of as a nation in America. And we'll talk about some other things too. We'll probably brush up, or what should I say? We'll touch upon the Olympics that were just absolutely insane. The opening ceremonies in Paris. And a little bit of Elon Musk. And I know Musk was also just, I think, last night in Nashville at the Bitcoin conference. And I saw a tweet. Now this is wild, man. Do you know much about Bitcoin? We didn't talk about this.
No, I mean, I know of it,
really
but
either.
my understanding of it is very limited. So.
Mine is okay, maybe a little less limited than you. My father-in-law is very big into it, really believes in it. He tried to explain it to me so I understand it better. I'm just trying to see. There was a post from disclose.tv, and it says, Trump, if president, pledges to form a Bitcoin reserve using 210,000 Bitcoin, which is a lot because each one is what now, 64,000 or something. I don't know exactly the number now, but that was seized by the Department of Justice as the core of a new strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. So there's a lot. I unfortunately, my dad hasn't seen my message because I sent that to him and said, huh? It's like, what does that all mean? Like, I understand that it means that Trump is putting some value behind Bitcoin, which I assume meant that the Bitcoin shares are, it's worth a lot more today than it was yesterday. But I don't quite understand how the Department of Justice seized these things, and now he's just I don't quite understand what that means. Like, legally seize them?
The point is not to erase the dollar, is it?
I don't think so. It sounded like he said he's doing it in like a security thing, kind of to be sure. But that's pretty incredible if you think of someone who likely could be president saying like, hey, just in case we're going to have, it's like, what do you mean just in case? You're the president. It's pretty wild. I mean, I think it really could. If you don't invest in Bitcoin now, it might be time to at least look into it, ladies and gentlemen. I'm no expert on the matter. You do with your money what you want. But it's worth looking into. I don't have any money in Bitcoin as we speak, but it might be worth looking into, because if Trump is saying that it might be something that the U.S. government is investing in, then, well, it's something. At least it is certainly something. So and it's something that I really do need to find an expert to talk on it. I think it would be a really good podcast to just kind of clarify what exactly it is.
There's that guy on Twitter. I believe, he's a state of a contest. Luke,
yeah.
I can't do with
Dasher or something.
Dasher, Dancer, Prince, or Vixen. Yeah,
he's a miner. Yeah,
he's a what?
He's a Bitcoin miner. So he's one of the guys who actually does the mining, which is once you start learning about the tech side of it, it's very bizarre and fascinating and over my head, but very interesting. Really, very interesting technology.
It's like gold, right?
It's kind of like gold
in
a kind of a very bizarre way. But yeah, kind of. There's a limited amount, and it's very self-regulated. Cannot be regulated by any government or politician or whatever. It's pretty interesting. Anyway, Matt and I did not plan to talk about Bitcoin, but that is just something that people. No. I do really recommend to anyone out there, if you don't know anything about it, just maybe YouTube Bitcoin for Dummies. If you have a little extra cash laying around, not a bad way to diversify a little bit of your money. I think Bitcoin could be at least interesting. But yeah, I mean, Matt, what on earth else is going on? We had a bit of a pie in the face moment last week because we recorded on Sunday, And then of course Sunday night, Biden stepped down stepped out of the race. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of embarrassing, because we were like, yeah, no way Biden's going to leave. And then like after it was, and then it published Monday morning, literally after Biden had left the race. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. That's the problem with recording a day early. But wow, Matt, I mean, you didn't see that coming.
No, I did not see that coming at all, for the mere reason that I gave on the show last time. And that was because I feel as though Trump was just marching on his way to a guaranteed victory. And why throw up Kamala Harris or anybody else when Biden could be the scapegoat here? Take your loss, and take your inevitable loss, and move on to 2028, which, man, I always feel like every election cycle, we're always looking at the next cycle already. I mean, I remember in 2016, we were like, 2020 is going to have a chance to reshape some things. And then 2020 came and we looked at 2024, and now already you're in 2024. We're thinking about, the strategy for 2028. Yeah. Always 4 years ahead, always thinking ahead. Always thinking ahead. One thing that I did read, and again, you got to be, of course, careful with who's putting what information out there, but Obama, Pelosi, and Harris basically worked out a plan where they either present a deal to Biden in which he either resigns, as he did, or they invoke the 25th Amendment. Now, do you think they really would have done that against him? He is such a big political name. I think that would have, I don't know the effects, but I don't know what the result of that. That would have been, a 2024 thing to have happen. Wouldn't have been, with the events that have been occurring lately. I think wouldn't have shocked me. I guess, but yeah, those were the options presented to him, which they showed 1 week prior to that announcement from Biden. He was saying at a rally, I believe, that I'm in this race. I'm not going anywhere. Is Joe Biden dropping out? No, I'm not. I'm staying in this race. I'm going to win in November. And if you wish to unseat me, challenge me at the convention. Well, the tone changed in 6 days, probably because he didn't want to be disgraced and walked away from office or removed from office. I don't even know how that would look. I wish it would look as based as the Democrats would kind of portray it. Like, would two army soldiers riding in on elephants, like loop them in a rope and pull them out?
Right, I don't know, exactly.
That would be phenomenal to watch. Right. Yes, I'd be there for that one. But I
missed a chance.
So I gotta say, because this is one thing that I kind of fell in the trap on. I was looking at I was just scrolling maybe on Wednesday, Thursday last week, and I saw this graphic come up saying that this is proof that Joe Biden's address to the nation, that 11-minute speech he gave the other night, was green screened, was fake, was completely fabricated. And what they do is they zoom in on the gap where he's sitting, kind of between his side and where his inside elbow is. And it looks like the backdrop, of which is the Oval Office, the grass, the trees, the pictures, the window frame, the table, is not there, because when he lifts up his arm, it's just like a light gray or beige gap in between him. And the video zoomed in on that, and they're like, look, here's evidence that why is the table missing? Why is the grass, the trees, the greenery removed from this image? What is going on? This is proof that Joe Biden's address was faked. And I could see myself, certainly believing that the address was faked, and I still don't believe it. I don't know, but what actually it was, is you could see from other angles of it that it was simply just his chair. The way he turned around, he turned to the side a little bit. He just had a leather chair, kind of like yours, Kev. Very, very expensive, high end, very well off, authentic $20,000 chair. The one, similar to the one that you're sitting in right now. And that's all it was. So I mean, man, there's conspiracy theories on both sides, and you got to be careful with what you're looking at. And that point to me, that moment to me, I was like, all right, I'm going to just turn this off, because it gets addicting. You're falling into these traps, these rabbit holes. You're like, what is going on? They did a thing with his watch. Apparently his watch was showing 6:08 p.m. instead of 8:11 or whatever it really was. And I think that got debunked too. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop trying to figure it out, and just,
well, it happened over here, or not over here, but in Great Britain, where you had, I don't know if you caught this in the US, probably, but Kate Middleton, so the Princess of Wales, she was pretty much in hiding for 6 months, or no one saw her publicly, and the media was very strange. That's that's
I
a
agree.
fact. Very strange. And they wouldn't publish anything. They wouldn't really tell anyone what was happening. And then all of a sudden she came out and she said, I had, I think, stomach cancer or something of the sort, and she had to have surgery, etc. And people are like, it's a lie, it's a fake video, it's all nonsense. She's actually dead. Look, she doesn't exist. And then a month later, she's here, and she's alive, and it probably was stomach cancer. And yeah, y'all look like a bunch of idiots. Now, again,
Mm.
the media and the sources, releasing information from the royal palace it was very bizarre and very strange. I don't know. And honestly, in my opinion, a lot of these things get leaked or purposely leaked because it is actually a distraction. They want people talking about Kate Middleton and not talking about how bad the British government is. I think that is actually true. And then what happens? They just use her kind of as a pawn. Say, hey, you're gonna hide for 6. This is a conspiracy theory, but you're gonna hide for 6 months. We want them to talk about you. We want them focusing on you. We want them to look like idiots when you come out and you were sick and now they said you're dead and you're not, and they're going to look like fools, and they're going to be talking about you and not talking about the British government. So anyway, I think the exact conspiracy theories that people are publishing on Twitter and whatnot are typically not true. Biden being dead and stuff, but the fact that Biden gave his announcement on Twitter and then didn't even show up for 4 or 5 days is weird. It's weird, Matt. And then you come up in the Oval Office, and the video does look kind of strange, and Biden is just, kind of senile and odd. And so it's like there's a very good reason why people have conspiracy theories, because it was really weird. I mean, it's like, what do you expect people to believe? I mean, you have to think something's strange. Yeah.
Actually, one thing that I got to say, one of the rabbit holes, if it even is a rabbit hole that I fell in, is if you YouTube Hollywood silicone masks. Like, man, that is
Creepy.
you would be
Yeah.
impressed with what they could, just those silicone slide over costumes that you could put on over your head and make yourself look like anybody. I mean, that is one thing that, they have done in the past. Like when you watch Biden walk out of an event or whatever, he scratches the back of his neck or the side of his face,
and it sticks.
a little wrinkle. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you, I guess it makes you wonder, but other countries, Hitler, for example, Kim Jong-un, North Korea, they have had body doubles.
Yeah.
That's not a secret. I mean, they do have them for security purposes.
Right.
What's to make you? Why should we believe otherwise that the United States doesn't?
Yeah,
I don't think there's
agreed.
any reason to believe that couldn't possibly be the case. Now, do I believe that Joe Biden is dead and they're covering it up? And I don't know. Probably not. I would say to that. I think we would be somewhat honest in that regard. I don't know what gain they would have there other than, I don't know.
Well, I think it's a lesson, and it really should be a big lesson to everyone, that it doesn't really matter what people say, especially if it's said on social media. What actually matters is what they do in politics. What bills are they actually passing? What are they actually approving? What are they pushing through in the Senate and the Congress, et cetera? And not caring about what's published online, because it's going to get worse and worse, where AI is really going to be faking everything. I think it already is. And, you can fake pretty much anything. Deepfakes are very real on both sides. I mean, I think soon someone could have a Matt and Kevin show. Maybe it's going to be Sede Picante, because he's so obsessed with us. He's going to make an AI show with me and with the two of us. It would not shock me. But I think that eventually we're not going to be able to trust anything, even less than we do now. So I think that's actually a really good lesson. I think that we honestly need to not really just listen to them. Actually, watch what Trump too. If Trump becomes president, what does he do? Not does he say, what does he do as president?
And that makes me think too of with the AI. That is the technology that they're showing us, that they're revealing to us.
Yeah,
who's to say that they don't have a much more advanced aspect of it in their own governmental operations? And that brings me back to our conversation about the UFOs. Remember when we would talk about that, and your kind of theory with that was that's actual United States military equipment that they're probably testing out and using, that the public has no sort of understanding or knowledge of. And you watch some of these videos, they've done it with not only Biden, but other sports stars, singers or whatever. They have AI'd their image with their voice to make it look like they're actually giving a press conference. There was one recently from a sports manager where he's talking about the defects of his team, and it was completely fabricated. I guess they took an interview of him, and all they did was they AI'd the mouth off him and put somebody else's mouth who's actually saying these things. They put it in, or however they do it. They put it over his mouth, and then they AI'd the actual manager's voice, and it sounded like he was berating his team. None of it was real. And if that's the technology that you and I see when logging into Twitter on our iPhone, what is the government capable of faking, producing, sending out for all of us to see? I think,
and that's just media. So I think media is
right. There's
is
much more
wild,
to it.
and talking about UFOs is a different story. I mean, but that's another interesting rabbit hole. Look, people go and research Nikola Tesla. I mean, Tesla was unbelievable. The things that he invented that we can't even really imagine, and a lot of it we don't even know about because, well, his laboratory just burnt down. I think like twice or something. And he was the unluckiest man ever, pretty much. And I think he died pretty much destitute because I think it was because he would not let himself be owned by the elites, like Edison was, like quite literally owned by J.P. Morgan. And again, that as far as I know, that is factual. You guys can look that up. But I think J.P. Morgan was the one who bankrolled Thomas Edison, and Edison was a totally corrupt, awful person. And I think my opinion is that Tesla wasn't, and so he actually did want to create things for the people. So I think that's obviously not what the elites wanted. They wanted his genius to be for them so that they could sell it. And it makes you wonder, if you think in that case, okay, how many things have been invented that were maybe for the greater good, but not for the good of the elites? And so, well, it has never seen the light of day. And I think that's definitely possible.
Do you think this is kind of off the cuff a little bit here, but do you think that and they've tried and failed, but do you think we can human clone? Do you think we actually have the technology to do it? I know publicly they've tried and failed. They've done it on animals. Dolly the sheep, remember Dolly the sheep of 96? That was huge. I remember Clonaid in 2001, 2099, something in that ballpark, claimed to have created the first individual human. They called her Eve as a mockery of the scriptures. But do you think we have that technology? That just we
no,
don't
I don't
know
think
about,
I don't think we could do that, because I mean, I've heard that too, but you can't. Men can't create human souls. So I mean, you can do perverse ways of contraception, I suppose, say IVF, or so you can find ways that are cheating the actual God-given way of creating life by taking male and female whatnots and making it into a baby. But I don't think you could just say we're in a laboratory and we just created now there's Heaven 2.0. I don't think
out of
that
nothing. No, you can't create something out of nothing, which is one of
only
Aquinas' points, which will stay forever. Right? You can't just sit here and all of a sudden open up your hands and life appear. You need something, right? You need what God has already created. But I body doubles for these leaders I can see, yes, but just being able to there's so many different aspects to look at it from, I think, and it becomes overwhelming, which is one reason why I think, you left Twitter some years ago, or was it about a year ago now, probably at this point. And
longer,
I can hear there I was just scrolling and looking like one thing after another, especially this political season has been so wild.
Yeah.
And speaking of, I mean, Kamala Harris received absolutely no votes. Nobody voted for her. She ran for election in 2020 and got didn't win a single delegate, I believe. She was so unpopular. And now all of a sudden she's the appointed nominee and just going to succeed. She didn't have to do anything. This is the party that, democracy, right? And that Trump is a threat to it, which I don't quite. I'm not sure of the intricacy of it all, of what it will look like at the convention and how but apparently she secured enough pledged delegates, not the official vote, but enough pledged delegates to be the nominee. And she's so unpopular, Kevin. All of a sudden the polls show her making 10-point rebounds. Maybe just an excitement of the public's pulse, but I don't know. I think that's kind of weird too, that she was just the chosen candidate here without anybody voting for her at all.
And I think I think that goes back to our theory of them just giving up. I don't really. I think they just understood that Biden was too much of a joke, and so they're like, okay, we just can't do that. And everyone hates Kamala, so they don't care if she falls on the sword. And so I think they're just like,
I think they know that. Yeah,
I think that because it's interesting. I've tried to listen to some of the other side, podcasts from the others, like the Young Turks. I don't know if you know them, because I want to get a little bit of an idea of where the other side's coming from. And pretty interesting because when you listen to them, now most of them are behind Kamala because they understand they
Yeah,
probably
right.
have to
All of
be.
a sudden, yeah.
But before that, really some of the names that they were throwing out there, they're like, the people who would absolutely beat Trump hands down, no problem, are Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders, or Bernie, not at the same, not separately. So different people saying that. It's just like
Right.
Pete Buttigieg and Bernie Sanders. Are you serious? You think these? I mean, Kamala Harris? What? I mean, it just blows your mind that this is all they have. And I think that
Buttigieg.
Pete Buttigieg, he's the head of transportation, and that's
Oh,
like
yes, he
one of the
is.
worst parts.
Him and his
Well,
husband.
so Matt, that's a good question. In the U.S. right now, what is a bigger failure in terms of what everyone sees? What's a bigger failure than transportation? And transportation's a bad one. You've had train derailments. You've had ships crashing into bridges. But what's actually
The
worse than that?
the border.
The
The border.
border, Matt.
The
And
border.
who is the borders are?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
And she has
she
never
is their nominee.
been.
Wild.
Here's what is really having my eyes widen here is that MSNBC called her out on that. Why are all
Yeah.
these networks all of a sudden kind of switching their narrative? I'm suspicious, but they said to her, I think it was Lester Holt, maybe, who, by the way, I believe Trump called the dumbest man on television.
Sir.
But they said,
Vice
you
President.
haven't even been to the border, have you? And her reply was, I've never been to Europe either. Like what a weird response.
Oh, she's
They seem to be
something special.
cornering
This
they
one,
seem to
she's
be
special.
cornering her
Yeah.
if she laughs at one more thing, Kevin. She finds everything in there is absolutely hilarious. She was on the Ellen show, Ellen DeGeneres. I don't know how long ago, but she told the joke and Ellen smiled and Kamala laughed like you just heard probably the funniest joke of it's not even funny.
Well, in the day after she was announced herself to be the nominee, she came out. I think it was the first interview, the first public thing she did after her announcement was on a transgender TV show or something.
Yes, on a drag queen show. That's correct. She launched her.
It was a drag show.
Yes, on a drag show.
Which is like, okay, I mean, again, this is one of these crazy cultural things that that 0.01% of people actually are fans of transgender stuff, and then maybe 1% supports them. Most people don't, Matt. I mean, most people will, they'll golf clap because they're afraid of being of being shanked by their own political side. But otherwise, nobody actually likes it. So what? They're so woke. And look at this, they're talking about Paris, man. I mean, it's like, what did they? And now you've seen companies back out of their sponsorships in Paris. Really some wild stuff. And I mean, boy, you go on social media now, and everyone is boycotting it. Everyone I've seen, and so this is a lot of traditional Catholics, obviously, but also a lot of other people. I've seen Muslims, I've seen Jews, I've seen other people saying we are boycotting the Olympics because of their shameful opening ceremonies. And again, it's just this woke virus. It's like, what are you doing?
Elon Musk tweeted, Christians have become toothless. He
Yeah.
tweeted yesterday or whatever day it was. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is continually fed down our throats. And of course, Kamala launched her, would it be her campaign? I don't even know what you'd call it, from RuPaul's Drag Race show, which is absolutely a bork. But everything is just the 1% is bullying the 99%, and it's been that way for a very, very, very long time. And quite honestly, Kev, the Republican Party, I believe, will probably follow suit. All of their platform, all of their positions are the Democrats of 3-4 election cycles ago. It would shock me that if they stood their moral ground here, which I think there are some out there, but I think there's very few actual principled people. There are, but very few. And I think kind of what you mentioned too there, I was actually speaking to a few people just this past week who I know from work and whatnot, and just bringing up the issue of abortion, they almost whispered when we were speaking of it, they almost whispered to me that, like, yeah, I kind of am pro-life. Like, you can't really say that too loud, because it sounds like you're infringing on women's rights, or you're infringing on all these other things. They're afraid to state their position, where the other side is pretty brave and like, in
Yeah,
saying that
very.
woman's right to choose. They're not afraid to kind of shout it out loud. But it seems like the people who do espouse the position of abortion being a grave evil are afraid to kind of say it or shout it from the rooftops. And it just the way, because this was two separate people that I was speaking of, and I kind of stated where I stand, and they very hesitantly and softly said, "Yeah, I agree too." It's just we don't put it out there in the way that the other side puts it out there. And I
Yeah.
think, and I mentioned this to you before we started, Elon Musk has had some pretty outspoken statements lately. Now, I think the guy is probably a Satanist, and I think he even said that he hopes he ends up in hell because most people will be there and it'll be a lot of fun. But
Yeah.
a few of the things that he said recently kind of make me think that there's maybe a little bit change of the narrative. He actually was talking about, I don't know if it was son or his daughter, one of the whoever it was. Yeah, his son. His son became a woman, and he said he was tricked, he was fooled into this, and he said, here's a quote: "I vowed to destroy the woke mind virus after this, and we're making some progress." The headline here, this is from July 22nd. Musk says a strange child's gender affirming care sparked fight against woke mind virus. He said some other things as well. Again, with the Olympics here, he said Christians have become toothless. He's posted some anti-Kamala Harris ads on his Twitter page, which is getting 700,000 views. Obviously, he has a lot of followers. So I don't. Of course, he's not some savior or whatever, and I don't think he's a man of any morals or principles whatsoever. But I guess we can hope and we can pray that men of his stature, men of his influence, men of his power, men of his wealth do have some sort of awakening and can use their influence for good things.
Well, and that's what we've reached such a low point in our history that if someone stands up and says, "Hey, I think we probably shouldn't murder babies, at least not right before birth," type of a thing. It's like, and that's considered extreme. And it's exactly as you were saying before, and that's like
Yeah.
the whoa, he's a principled guy, and you're exactly right when you say that Donald Trump is running on a lot of things that I think George W. Bush would have been more conservative in many ways. Now I
By a
like
lot. George
Trump.
Bush
I
was,
like how Trump is a lot less. He's not a warmonger, which Bush
yes.
obviously was. I mean, that's like
George Bush
factually.
is much better on social issues. I would
But
say.
on social issues, yeah, I mean, I think George Bush was probably more Christian and moral. I mean, at least in the way it. I mean, that's what it seems. And and I think you look at I don't know. You look at Trump's
George,
justices. They've done some good things, but they're also not really your I don't know, your morally conservative people. They're much more, whether they call themselves quote unquote constitutionalists. So they're just legally saying, hey, this is not what the Constitution meant, or not. They're not trying to make any moral claims.
correct.
Which, okay, I get that. I understand the point of it, but it's like I would
It's
much rather
actually
Clarence Thomas, who was like, nah, I'm a Catholic and I'm going to base all of my judgments on my morality. Which, boy, bring me
That's
that.
actually a good point. I had never really considered that option, but did the Supreme Court in 2022 maybe? Did the Supreme Court actually what can I say, maybe push or impose a pro-life agenda, or do they simply just revisit the law and say, well, the
Oh, they
10th
would
Amendment,
absolutely say it was just that they just said, "Nope,
right?
we
They
cannot." That
didn't have
this was
any.
falsely interpreted, which is clear. It was, I mean, like
Yeah.
ridiculously so.
I gotta tweet this. This is a good.
You better put my name
This
to
is
it, man.
smart.
Just quoted the smartest guy I know. No, but no, it is interesting because I think again it shows you that like Trump's way has some good things because he does do like economically bring it on. Like I think Trump he's going
I
to
think he's
make
very
it better.
strong. He's
It's
very strong.
going to be a better economy, and I think he is going to end wars. I do actually think he's going to end the war in Ukraine and Russia. I actually believe that. I
Same.
think he actually will. And I think I think things will be better with Israel and
And I
Palestine.
think the
I think
border will
that's
be more
actually going to
secure.
happen. Sorry.
I think he actually cares about the border. I think it's
Yeah.
actually a concern.
Yeah.
Kamala,
Yeah.
they all fake this concern. They want these voters coming in. I
Right.
think Trump is honestly and truthfully concerned about the border. I don't doubt that Trump actually cares about him. We talked about this before. I don't doubt that Trump actually cares about this country.
I totally
I don't have
agree.
any.
I just think that you're exactly right. And I think that's why I would vote him over any Democrat because Democrats hate us. They hate America. But I do think, though, that, again, Trump is really touted as this hero by so many people or this great conservative. And it's like you actually look at his
He's not a
policies and what he not even look at what he says at first, even though I just said don't do that. But look at what he actually pushes, what he votes for, and it's not it's not that conservative, guys. He's really pretty liberal. He's just not a warmonger. But that's another really good point. It's something that my dad brings up all the time. It's like, we always talk about abortion, rightfully so, but we don't talk about unjust wars.
Mhm.
It's just something that we just don't really talk about because
That
the
was
Republican Party has been the warmongering party for decades, and we just kind of let it be. George W. Bush, he's a moral guy, and then he goes and blows people up for 8 years. And it's like, okay, is that better? We got to at least consider other things as well. And again, I'm not trying to talk people out of voting for Trump. I've said very publicly I will vote for Trump because I think he is absolutely the better option. But as you said with the conspiracy theories, we got to calm down a little bit and just say, hey, this guy is extremely flawed, and let's not let him get away with it. Let's also push him.
that's actually one of the points that I took issue with Ted Cruz in 2016. So when 2016 was underway, and I didn't support Trump at all. I supported Ted Cruz.
Me
But
too.
for somebody who claimed to be so pro-life as Ted Cruz claimed to be, first, he was very much supportive of contraception, in vitro fertilization. But I just pulled it up to make sure I wasn't misremembering. He said several times over that he was going to carpet bomb countries in the Middle East to wipe
Wow.
out ISIS and terrorists. Now, what, as you just pointed out, what is pro-life about that?
Crazy.
There are so many people there who have innocent civilians who have nothing to do with anything of what's going on. They're simply trying to live their lives in peace, and we want to just flatten them. I
And
think
it's
that
a
is absolutely,
provenly ineffective way
of
of
course it is.
eradicating terror. It
Of course it
doesn't work. If you blow them up, their sons or their nephews or their grandchildren or their great grandchildren will come and kill you. And they will be more radical and they will strap more
Right,
bombs
it's a
to their chest.
radicalization
That
of it.
is
Yeah, exactly.
fact. This has happened
Right.
for generations. And our stupid leaders but again, we all know it's not really about it's really about what is in the Middle East, Matt, right? It's not just about, hey, we don't want evil in the Middle East. They don't care about the Middle
No.
East. Come on.
No, they don't care
And,
about the
and I
Middle
think
East.
Trump doesn't care
And
either. And I think that's actually a good thing. The way he doesn't care, he's like, hey, look, I'm the president of America. I've got enough to work out here. I want my country to be good. You just figure it out. You guys figure it out. Just and I mean, he's been very
he
pro-Israel. I mean, maybe a little
yeah, they
more
all
than I
are.
would like. I understand. I understand why he is, and I do think Israel, were attacked by aggressors. So I definitely understand that point of view. But I would much rather him just be like, hey, look, guys, you've got nuclear bombs, you got your own army, work it out. Why on earth is America sending billions of dollars to Israel, Matt? It's wild. Why? Oh,
Trump said in 2003, all the way back then, that if you remove Saddam Hussein, you will destabilize the Middle East, and he was
yeah,
right.
yeah.
That is what brought up about ISIS and all of these crazy terrorist groups and all of the unsettledness. I mean, the Middle East has always been unsettled, but it catapulted it even into deeper chaos. More than what it already was. But just to make a point too about how our leaders hate us, and you've talked about Merkel, you've talked about Macron, whose wife is quite an interesting
We
figure. I
talk about a
saw
rabbit
him
hole.
slash he slash they the other day. I was kind
Right.
of
Oh man.
wasn't
Yeah.
sure what I mean. He's
Either
not
way,
that bad
very
of a
weird.
looking guy, and
Very
that's
weird.
that's his
Was like his
wife.
babysitter when she's like 30 years older.
Oh, she
Whatever.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
He
Weird.
is. She is.
Yeah.
Oh,
Weird, Matt. Really weird.
I've
No matter
seen.
what you want to believe, no matter how far you go down that hole, if you're just on the actual proven things on the surface, it's very strange.
All
Very
right,
strange.
because I saw him and they at the Olympics, and I can't remember actually seeing a picture of this person before, but
Ugh.
as I just said,
Brr.
I think he's like an okay looking dude, and then I'm like, what is that? Like, it looked like a corpse, and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh
It's
my,
it's
these
strange.
people. That's
Yeah.
one point that I will. You can take it how you want to take it. Give to Putin is that I don't think you can deny that he is pro Russia. I don't think you can deny that. I think it's
Well, and
very
he's
much.
he's pro traditionalism. I mean, not in all the good ways, but I mean in some good ways.
There's
I mean, you
some
look
things
look at
there.
the
Yeah.
opening ceremonies in the Russian Olympics, and you can find this. I'm sure people have seen this on Twitter.
He never would have
It's like
tolerated that.
Tchaikovsky dance. These people ballroom dancing to Tchaikovsky, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, and it really. To me, it's inspiring and it shows, wow, that is a bygone era, and we are proud of our nation. We just talked about this last night. So think about this, man. This is pretty wild. So Russia did that. So they had ballroom dancing. I think it's Tchaikovsky, some Russian composer. Beautiful thing. China has 1,500 people banging a drum at the same time, kind of really pointing to everyone. Look at we are so cohesive. We are so trained. We are so diligent. This is who we are. And then France comes out with a bunch of drag queens, mocking Christianity. So it's like, well, I mean, if people tell you who they are, listen to them.
Right. Exactly. And as well as I do that Putin would have never tolerated. That would not have happened. That would not have happened.
No.
That would not have happened.
Are you serious? I mean, no.
We would have seen live executions on television. I mean,
I still can't believe it. I can't believe they did. I just can't.
And not only
how can you get past? Why? Like, who do you think you're aiming for? Like, how many Catholics are there in the world? So so Catholics, I think, is like 3 billion. Novus Ordo, mostly, right? But so then, how many Christians are there in the world?
Oh yeah,
20 billion. I mean, it's a wild number. And then, how many people are supportive of Christianity? 30 billion? I mean, it's like, how many people actually want? Or who are you aiming this at? Who do you think is going to be like, oh, that's great, they're mocking Christianity, and it's the other Satanists in the room, and that's how many? That's not that many people. Come on, yeah, there are evil people, there are Satanists clearly, but they're really a minority. So they just totally ended their own Olympics because they're dumb. It's not just woke. I mean, wokeism is dumb. It's like, go get woke, go broke, and it's very true.
And to see that these sort of things happen out of all countries, out of France, I mean, this is
first daughter of the church. Yeah.
Oh, the eldest daughter of the church.
Eldest daughter of the church.
Eldest daughter of the church. Yes. From however long ago, King. I just tweeted this. Clovis. Yeah, he was baptized and he vowed to be a ally of the papacy. He was in the Reims Cathedral.
And, I love that the quote that's attributed to him is that he says, they say he said that when he was baptized, he said, when I was first told the story of Christ, I just wish I could have been there with my horsemen to to stop the crucifixion. And I just kind of appreciate that quote because it was a very, kind of simplistic, but also kind of nice. Yeah, you're not quite understanding why Christ did it, but I like it. Anyway, sorry.
Right, interesting. No, it's interesting. Yeah. And Paris lost power. I don't know if you saw this.
I saw. I didn't know if that was true or not. Did that actually happen?
Oh yes, Paris was in black. Wow. Yeah, everything was out.
You could see, Matt. You could see terror attacks, quote unquote terror attacks. I certainly hope no violence, but
sure.
I think you could see some tearing down of idols, and honestly, I hope you do.
Are there? This is just an honest question, but are there Muslims at the Olympics? Because in Islam, this sort of stuff is not tolerated. This sort of stuff is punishable by beheading or stoning. I wonder if there will be any.
It's a great point,
pulled out.
I wonder if it's a great point, and I mean, obviously that is in your extremist countries, but I think the actual Sharia law. Yeah, I think you get thrown off buildings, right? I mean, if you are you are a homosexual deviant, and as they say, YouTube don't ban me. That is their opinion. They throw people off of church towers or bell towers, and that's you can see videos, unfortunately, on the internet of them doing that. So again, who are they trying to? What is France half Muslim at this point? So
probably.
Who are you? What is this aimed at? I mean, it's so weird, man. It's so I can't even. It doesn't make sense. So I think it could just be. It could be. I think there's two options for me. Either it was literally just run by idiots who let an idiot plan it and didn't check on it, didn't care, and it's literally just dumb. They're just a bunch of dummies, or they are in their death throes. They understand that their way of life is coming to an end, and it's like a panic. It's like, okay, we have to go full bore. And I think you even see that with Bergoglio in the Novus Ordo. I think it's like, hey, okay, this is our slow pace isn't working. We have to go 10 times faster, and that seems like maybe what we saw in Paris.
I'm going to give you a number, Kev. This was, I believe, in 2020, in France. Give me a percent. Sunday mass attendance among Catholics in France. Give me a percentage.
5.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nice.
5%.
Do I know my
of Catholics in France attend mass on Sunday?
Do this for me. Look up how many. What is the population percentage of Muslims in France?
All right.
It's probably not 50, but I bet you it's 30.
It says It says Islam is a minority religion in France that is around 3 million people, or 10% of the population.
Only 10. Ooh, boy.
This is
That
April
that
1st,
seems low.
2023.
That seems I bet you that's officially reporting, legal people. I mean, you
Probably.
Matt,
Probably.
walk around Paris and it's not 10%, at least in Paris. That I can tell
Mhm.
you. I mean, some of these cities especially are probably more like 70%. Yeah. And these are
Now
not your
in
Matt, these are not some of them surely are fine people, but many of them are not. These are not your peaceful, loving,
uh,
Muslims who just want to have a peaceful life in their false religion. These are
yes.
radicals and you and thugs and
Yes.
really if you walk around and I was there in Paris now, boy, it's already been 6 or 7 years. But even then, it was pretty scary. Like there, I almost got into a fist fight with a big guy from I don't know Africa trying to put a necklace around my neck so I'd buy it, and he literally is like getting in
Ooh.
my face, threw it over my neck, and he's like, okay, give me money, like bro, you touch me again, and you're gonna get decked. But it was pretty intense. I mean, really
Yeah.
very physical and scary. I mean, nobody, please do not visit Paris anytime soon, people. I mean, very, very dangerous, very scary, and it's
Very dangerous
unfortunately
place.
where Europe is headed because of our
And it says
politicians who
here,
hate us.
April 11th, 2023, 29% of the French population declare themselves to be Catholic. I mean,
Only
in
30%.
yeah,
Wild.
so in 1901, so going back 120-ish years now, France was home to the largest number of Catholics in the world. Are you ready for this? 98.4%
No.
of the identified population.
Wow.
That is how
Oh man,
far
that's
we have fallen.
incredible.
There's that famous saying, I forget, it was around the time of the French Revolution, but when all that was going on, um, somebody asked, I forget the whole context of it, but there was a um, it was the time of day, and somebody said, "Are you going to mass?" Like this was during the wars there, during the conflict, and I guess it was the general of the army. He said, "Are we going to mass?" And he put his hands in the air and he said, "This is France. We're all Catholic here." Like in other words, they're
Hmm.
saying, "Of course, like yes, this is who we are." Um, and just even you going back to earlier this year, where that woman stood in the French Parliament and just announced with this great glee that abortion was just sweeping. I mean, this is
Crazy.
these are demonic,
Yeah. Yeah,
positions that
that's
that
that's
have
it.
taken
Yeah.
over and Our Lady of La Salette, which her prophecies, are a bit under some scrutiny, and I think it was Pius the Ninth who said stop talking about it. But she has said repeatedly that France will be punished. God is angry. I think that God has a deep love for France, and I think He will chastise her because He does have a love for her. God's favor has rested on France from the beginning, and I
Well,
think
and
that
when you walk through Paris, sorry, it's been chastised already.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
the the actual French are the minority, and that's
yes,
to me. I don't think you get much more of a chastisement when you see that the peoples, the religion that you were trying to keep out and you kept out
has
for
taken over.
1,500 years. Yeah,
Yeah,
they are
or Pius
at
the Fifth.
least coming. They say 10%. I don't buy it. They are
Mm.
quickly rising towards the majority. And I still have faith for France. I think they are moving in the right direction politically, very slowly. I know some people disagree with that, but I'm not a big fan of Le Pen. But
Le Pen, yeah, right.
at least they
She's a little
finally
something.
voted out Macron. Macron
Yes.
practically has no power at all. So that is a good thing. Some good things are happening. So, but let's pray for France and let's play again. We I think it's always good to end these conversations saying let's pray for France, pray for America. Don't ever forget that. Pray for our leaders, even for Joe Biden,
Mm.
because yeah, do we like him? No. Is he a horrible person? Absolutely. Do we want him to be better and to be Catholic in his last 3 months and to save his soul? Absolutely. So let's pray for it, and let's pray that our children and our grandchildren will see a better time, better culture, and well, we're only going to see that if we do the best we can to lead the best lives we can, and of course to pray our way there, to pray our way out of this mess, because that's how it's going to happen. And I absolutely think there is a chance. I do not think this is over. I think this can be fixed. You look at El Salvador, you look at Argentina, these things can be fixed. And actually, they can be fixed
Mm.
quickly. They
Sure.
can. They really
Yeah.
they can. So you can just say, okay, everyone who's illegal or not contributing to society, you're gone. You're going back home. Go fly home back to Syria or whatever, and you're not welcome here anymore. I know that sounds extreme, but it can happen, and maybe that's what needs to happen. And I guess we will see what happens. But yes, please, let's pray for our countries. Let's pray for our world, and pray for us, please, guys. Actually, that would be great if you do that too. My wife is very close to giving birth with our third child. Could be any day now. Could be any hour. It's one of those. You get to that point where it's kind of like it really is like on the top of your mind all day long, all day. Yeah. Like I'm always like, if I'm at work, I'm expecting a call. Like, okay, is it going to be now?
Yeah.
Is it? Yes. So my brain is really it's not really in the podcast and stuff. So I hope people forgive me for that. I haven't planned a ton of stuff. And for the next couple of weeks, especially after the baby's born, it'll probably be fairly slow. Matt may have to find another co-host or do it on his own. We'll see. No promises for the next coming weeks, but please pray for a good delivery, good, healthy, happy birth. That would be great. We would appreciate it. Matt, I might see you next week. I might not, but it's, as always, it's been a pleasure. Everyone, please like, share, subscribe, comment, let us know. What do you want us to talk about, guys? I mean, Matt and I really do actually like talking about cultural stuff too. We don't just want to talk about politics. We like talking about other things. So if you have any ideas, if you want us to talk about our favorite pastas, then heck, let's talk about our favorite pastas.
Very debatable.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think spaghetti can be very overrated at times, depending on the noodle. I mean, if it's too thin of a spaghetti noodle, I'm not a fan. It's gonna be a nice thick, almost like a linguine type. That's much more of my style. But anyway, well, maybe next week we'll talk noodles. But I know we're talking to
noodles.
Matt's had 2 weeks in a row. He's had Italian shirts on. So Matt is
have I? Really,
oh yeah. Last week too. Yeah.
You're
heritage.
Right.
He appreciates his heritage, which
I
also appreciate. I love that. Yeah, appreciate it. All right, Matt. We'll see you. Take it easy.